A 5-year-old Afghan boy who was evacuated from Kabul has died in Poland after eating poisonous mushrooms. His 6-year-old brother had to undergo a liver transplant and remains in a life-threatening condition. The boys were admitted to Poland's main children's hospital last week along with their older sister. Poland evacuated the family last month at the request of the UK, as the father had worked for the British and was thought to be in danger following the Taliban takeover of Afghanistan. The family arrived in Poland on August 23. The following day, they picked and ate highly poisonous death cap mushrooms in a forest around the refugee center where they were staying in Podkołężna, near Warsaw. Doctors at the Center for Children's Health Institute in Warsaw said the 5-year-old had died and that the parents were at the hospital under psychological care. Unfortunately, we were unable to help both boys, the hospital's director, Dr. Marek Migdal, said on Thursday, according to the BBC. The young boy had suffered irreversible brain damage, making a liver transplant unfeasible. The older brother suffered significant and life-threatening brain damage and remains in a critical condition. Dr. Migdal said his outlook was unfavorable. The boy's 17-year-old sister has been released in a good condition. Some other family members were hospitalized elsewhere but are now recovering. The poisonings are under investigation. Local media reports have suggested that the family went foraging because they were not being given enough food. But local officials denied this, with Jakub Dudziak, a spokesman for the Office for Foreigners, which is managing Afghan evacuees in Poland, telling the BBC that evacuees receive 3 meals a day. He added that staff at refugee centers had been told to warn Afghans against eating wild mushrooms. The family's situation is not unique among Afghan refugees. In a separate incident at a different refugee center near Warsaw, 4 Afghan men ended up in hospital after eating poisonous mushrooms, according to the State Office for Foreigners. Death cap mushrooms, among the most poisonous in the world, closely resemble Poland's popular, edible parasol mushroom. Poland evacuated more than 1,000 Afghans who were employed by NATO forces following the Taliban takeover of Kabul. Most will remain in Poland but others will go elsewhere, having been evacuated by Polish troops on behalf of other countries or organizations. Poland is also seeking a state of emergency order along its border with Belarus as it attempts to stop Afghans from entering from there. More than 30 people from Afghanistan have been stuck for more than 3 weeks between armed Belarusian guards on one side and armed Polish forces on the other. Some are ill as they have limited access to food and the weather is getting worse, with recent rain and falling temperatures. Poland, a European Union member, has seen a large number of migrants seeking to illegally cross the border in recent weeks, most of them originally from Iraq and Afghanistan. The Polish government accuses the authoritarian leader of Belarus, President Alexander Lukashenko, of pushing them to Poland to create instability in the EU. Poland insists the group is on Belarusian soil and will not let the migrants approach Polish territory or request asylum. Activists say there are 32 people from Afghanistan, many of whom are now sick,